Hi, I'm Ariel Freeze with Akasha Counseling, and welcome to the Counselor Chronicles. Today we have with us Bethany Raab. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, why don't you go ahead and tell us the name of your practice and who you work with?
Okay. My practice is Raab Counseling and Consulting Services, or Raab Counseling. Is a little less of a mouthful. I focus mostly on teens and young adults and their families. The age range I work with is pretty much 10 to 25. And I work on kind of a broad range of teen and family issues with them.
Wonderful. And I'm so excited for your topic today. Essentially, you're going to be talking to us about how parents can open up a conversation with their teens or their tweens about sex.
Yes.
All right. So you had 3, I think, quick tips for us.
I do.
All right. So why don't you tell us a little bit about those?
The first tip I have for parents who are feeling like they need to start talking to their teens about sex is to just embrace the awkwardness. That's the number one thing I hear from parents and teens about why this isn't happening. And I think it's going to be awkward, and that's okay. And being able to just sit with it and kind of prepare that this is going to be hard, but this conversation and having it with my teen is very worth it. Can help you with kind of embracing that awkwardness.
Absolutely. And you were saying, like, if I'm not having this conversation with them, who is?
Right.
And that it's also totally okay sometimes to just say, this is hard, and kind of acknowledge that to your teen.
Kind of acknowledge the elephant in the room. Just say, wow, this is hard. Is it hard for you? And my guess is your teen will be like, yes, this is awkward and hard. And then you can kind of move on because you both acknowledge where you are.
Perfect. All right. So embrace the awkwardness is the first one.
Yes.
What's the second tip?
My second tip is to really leave room for your teen to have their own opinions and to make their own decisions around sex for themselves. These are the kinds of conversations where you can choose to be really open and have a conversation as sort of equals, or you can come at it as the authority and telling them what to do. And in my experience, there are a few quicker ways to help your teen not want to listen to you than by telling them what to do in general. And with such an important topic, their sexuality and their relationships and their health in so many ways, you want it to be a conversation, not an authority figure talking to a child. So let them express their opinions, let them have their opinions and their ideas about how they want to do things.
Great. That's great. I can see how, from the authority perspective, like you said, that can really kind of just shut down the conversation and not really also make room for honesty.
Right.
Which is probably what you want the most.
Right.
Yeah.
So many teens have questions about sex and relationships that are hard to ask, and they don't get asked if they don't feel like they can be safe and not judged for asking whatever that question might be.
Awesome. All right, what's your third tip?
My third tip is to talk about consent. When you think about what we all learned in sex ed in school, it probably varies depending on where we're from and how old we are, but consent was generally not a part of that. And really the important thing about consent is this is how you have a relationship and have sex with someone and know that you're both in it together and know that you're both wanting it. So I think not addressing that in your home when it is likely not being addressed in schools is a big misstep for parents.
Yeah, I imagine there's a lot of teens and probably adults too that aren't sure exactly what it means to have consent.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's so much more than just saying, yes, I'll do this. You need to consider that you're both appropriate ages, that you're both in a state of mind that you can make a good decision, and that you know something about each other.
Yeah.
And this is one of the hard things for a lot of people that, a one-night stand, it's really tough to know that you have that person's true consent because you don't really know them.
Right.
And that's a tough topic to talk about with adults and teens alike, but it's so important.
Absolutely. Now, my last question is for you is, how do you recommend parents open up this conversation?
Great question. I think that the best place to start is by saying, hey, we need to talk about this. Just putting it on the table, kind of, again, embracing the awkwardness of even starting that conversation. Say, I'd love to talk to you about this. We need to talk about this. Do you want to do it now? We have some time. Or can we put something on the calendar to sit down and know we're going to have time and an opportunity to talk together? You don't want to corner your teen in their room and just give this all to them and then run away.
Right.
You want to set the stage for having a good conversation, and giving them some choice in when and where it happens can be really valuable.
Wonderful. Bethany, thank you so much for those tips. Those are awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.